Hey, it's a wonder we get to do this any week with as many moving parts as there are in between Google and YouTube. I don't know. They certainly do not make it easy for anyone. Nonetheless, I am so excited that it all worked, right? It took a second, third, fourth attempt, but I am very grateful to have the opportunity to connect with you here today on SEM Mondays Live, my weekly live Q&A show here on YouTube. Some days I swear we were better off with tin cans and strings, and yet, this is awesome. How awesome is this that we each get to stay in the comfort and safety of our own homes, and we get to connect virtually, right? You have the opportunity to be able to ask me questions about source energy medicine or about really anything, as long as it's related to health and well-being, dis-ease and healing transformation. And if you are here with me live, please type something in the chat, shoot an emoji, let me know that we are indeed making it somewhere beyond my little broadcast studio here. And yes, this is a Q&A show. And for more than the last year, more than a year now, I have been including a group energy healing session as part of this program to support you, right? To help to ensure your health and well-being, and to give you a little bit of a break, right? Give you a little piece of time to yourself, time to devote to your healing process, time to go inside. Healing to me is such an internal process, and we each go about it in very different ways. And that's one of the reasons why there's a video on our YouTube channel about results. One of the most frequently asked questions that I receive is, what can I expect? Or another way of asking that same question is, will source energy medicine work for me? And, there's a lot to take into consideration. On one hand, source energy medicine is universally applicable, meaning there's not a sentient being on this planet who would not benefit from source energy medicine, even me. And I have not had any challenges since 2005. And yet there are a lot of ways that I continue to benefit from source energy medicine each and every day. So, while... gosh, bear with me. My stream is freaking out, and I just want to make sure that we are indeed broadcasting. I think we're still good. That's what I said. On one hand, source energy medicine is universally applicable, and yet on the other hand, I'm responsible for my healing journey, whether I'm going to see a doctor or a surgeon or a shaman or an energy healer. I'm always responsible for my outcome. Always. And if you think that's a stretch, gosh, there's some really amazing resources. Even Lynn McTaggart's book, The Field, which at this point has got to be, 15 years old, more, or probably more. I love Lynn McTaggart, and her book, The Field, is definitely one of my all-time favorites. But in Lynn's book, she's a journalist, and she compiles data from a lot of different sources and makes connections that otherwise I don't think anyone would make. So in The Field, there are a bunch of different, she comes at that from a bunch of different perspectives. And it's an interesting thing to think about, that even if someone is to undergo surgery, that they are actually more in control of their outcome than they think, right? And I think it's very empowering to know that I'm always responsible for my healing. And in Lynn McTaggart's book, The Field, she cites there have been several different studies that have been similar in nature. They'll take a control group of people who are about to they've signed up for knee surgery, I guess is the easiest way I could say that. They're about to get knee surgery, and they agree to go through this experiment, and they don't know what the experiment is. and they take half the group and they actually perform the surgery. They take half the group and they pretend they do the surgery. And they do make an incision, but they actually don't do the complete operation. And the outcomes are inspiring. And the outcomes are actually very, very impressive for those who did not receive the surgery. So, what does that tell you about the power that we each have to be able to not only to heal ourselves, but really to influence, to a large degree, our reality? And I talk about that in my book, Heal Thyself, as well. So, it's a lot of interesting things to think about. And if you have not read Lynn McTaggart's book, The Field, of all of her books, I highly, highly, highly recommend that. And there are so many good documentaries these days that are easily accessible wherever you stream your videos. So thank you for the beautiful spring flowers and the hearts there, Marty. And there's Franco and Marina saying hi and blessings to everyone. They're joining us from Victoria, BC. Welcome, friends. That's awesome. And Joycelyn saying hello, everyone, with some cool smiley emojis and some prayer hands is what I'm trying to say. So if you're here with me live and you have questions, please go ahead and type them into the chat. Just be aware, as YouTube warned you, it's a public forum, right? So be sensitive about what you type in there. There are some folks who like for the group energy healing session, they want to submit a healing request, and rather than type what their challenge is into the chat, they'll just email me ahead of time. So if it's something that's sensitive in nature, you don't want to share in a public forum, you could always email me. My email address is always in the show notes for any of the SEM Mondays. You could go back and check out the replay from any of the SEM Mondays. I don't think the show notes are there when we're live, but I'm not sure about that because I'm always here on this side of things. So a couple of weeks ago, I talked about on some Mondays the birds and the bees, and I'll have to go back and look at which episode that was, because I talked about using source energy medicine technology to help hummingbirds. Really wild birds, but really hummingbirds, especially when they're migrating, right, around a tremendous amount of stress, and not to mention using a tremendous amount of physical energy to do their migration. So how to love up the hummingbirds and to help them to heal themselves, right? And the bee part is for our honeybees, So there were a couple of questions that came in along those lines. And I think the most common was, the feeders that I use. I can't insert a photo here in any way, but the feeders that I use are large enough. They're actually very, very similar in shape to this bottle of water, and it's like perfect size for a Source Energy Medicine charging label, and that's in part why I chose those bottles. And I have good amount of packing tape over it because living here in Colorado, hummingbirds were sitting on snow-covered feeders a few times already this year. And I always want to bring them in and warm them up and give them a little hummingbird Airbnb, just take care of them because it's cold out very often when they're migrating. And, today it's really quite lovely and quite warm, but that's, part of their journey. But, a lot of questions came in, well, how do you fit the charging labels on the feeders? And I get that a lot of feeders are small or they're very ornamental, right? They're very more decorative. They're more for humans than they are for hummingbirds. And I really encourage you to get large. I mean, it depends on where you live, right? Like where we are, I believe the reservoir is about 16 ounces, which is a considerable amount of hummingbird nectar. And at our high season, I'll fill them up about every 2 days. And, outside of the high season, freshening the nectar about every week. But it's, good-sized reservoirs. And, so I'll make sure to put the date so you might want to go back and check out that replay just to see, all of the details, which charging labels I use, and that sort of thing. And the bees too. I mean, my gosh, our bees absolutely need some love. Somebody was telling me the other day that Rudolf Steiner has some really important and insightful information about raising honeybees. And it's raising honeybees in a very holistic way, where they get to keep all of their honey, right? They get to keep everything. We're not taking right, royal jelly, taking honey, taking pollen, taking anything from them. But there's a lot to it. I mean, there are a lot of people who are saying that, that's part of the problem. But there's so many things, so many issues around that. So in our online courses, the fundamentals of source energy medicine, or source energy medicine fundamentals, I go into much greater depth talking about how to use source energy medicine technology with cats and dogs, all the domestic animals, as well as horses and llamas, alpacas, and talk much more in depth about honeybees. But we have species-specific charging labels for, I think, about 6 different species, and the ones for bees I offer for free. The others, I believe, are $33 for electronic download of the species-specific Source Energy Medicine charging labels. They're available at sourceenergymedicine.com. So I don't see any questions in the chat, and that was the only thing that I had lingering. Last week we weren't able to broadcast, and next week is a holiday here in the U.S. It's Memorial Day, so Monday is indeed the holiday. And we'll be celebrating our war heroes, and so I won't be here either. I'll be observing the holiday, having a little bit of respite and reflection. So I'm going to segue into doing the group energy healing session, and if you're joining late and you have a question, please go ahead and type that into the chat, and after we do the group energy healing session, I'll come back, and before I come back live, I'll check the chat and see if there's anything that's urgent. And if you're watching this in replay, you can always leave your questions, comments, shares in the comments below. So last thing I want to say before we get into that is clicking on that cool little bell icon that YouTube supplies you with. If you click that, then YouTube will let you know when I'm live, so you don't have to set alarms and stuff like that, or when we upload a new video. And certainly subscribing to my channel is the best way that I can continue to help you on your journey with Source Energy Medicine. If you are totally new, you have to check out the Quick Start Guide. It's a free course in Source Energy Medicine. Links in the show notes below. I think it's about 16 different modules now. It's quite in-depth, and it contains everything that's essential to your journey with Source Energy Medicine. It's all free, and the feedback that I receive on it is been super strong. It was kind of a daunting task to put all that together, and it's a lot. It is a mini masterclass, very intentionally. It's designed to help you. I've known this since 2004 when all this was coming about. Certainly in the very beginning, I thought the answers that I was receiving, the answers to my prayers, were simply to help me to heal myself. I had no aspiration or inspiration to start a self-healing methodology. And in fact, I had massive resistance. So but since I got over that very limited view, it became crystal clear to me that this technology was given to me, yes, first and foremost, so that I could once and for all heal myself, but also so that I could share it with every sentient being on this planet. And the only way to share anything with every sentient being on this planet is if it's free. Has to be free, otherwise there'll be well over 2 billion people, billion with a B, people on this planet who would be excluded, even if it were nominal, like $10, right? So that's my commitment. And yes, indeedy, we do have online workshops that folks invest time and there's registration fee. And yet all of our workshops there too, I want to have equal access for everyone. So we have a Source Energy Medicine Scholarship Fund because I want everyone to have the ability to master Source Energy Medicine. While the Quick Start Guide, I think, is amazing, it certainly doesn't enable you to achieve mastery of Source Energy Medicine. It's not something that certainly takes some hours on your part and some playing, right? Some experimenting, some trying. But you learn how to really maximize the potential gifts, right? The blessings that are in this technology, and utilize it far beyond just helping with our physical form or what would be characterized as a mental or emotional challenge, but with our properties. We've been already talking about animals, domestic and wild. Domesticated. Domestic is wine. I always say domestic. It's one of those things that if I'm with Valerie and I say that, she'll just look at me like, really? Domestic animals. As opposed to imported animals. We do import animals, right? These are the ones that are native. But no, domesticated ones, the ones that live in our homes. So, so if you ever have any questions about the workshops, since COVID, we changed everything. And all of our workshops are now set up in a membership model where you have the option of a monthly membership, an annual membership, or a lifetime membership. And we have 4 workshops in all. 2 fundamentals, and it's where everyone starts, whether you're a wellness practitioner, physician, chiropractor, massage therapist, or just somebody who wants to learn how to master Source Energy Medicine technology, be able to help themselves fully and their family and friends who are open and interested in exploring Source Energy Medicine. Everyone starts with the fundamentals, and there's 2 parts, all online, go completely at your own pace. And it's predominantly pre-recorded videos, short topic-specific videos. And you can join anytime. You can join the membership anytime, and you have, again, three membership options so that you get to choose the option that's absolutely best for you. And then we have open office hours once a month so that you have the opportunity to ask me questions specifically about that content. And the conversation there tends to get much deeper than what we're able to do here in the time that we have for SEM Mondays. And we have an amazing community forum. Community forum where you can post successes and breakthroughs and miracles, as well as frustrations and challenges and perceived setbacks, things like that, right? And connect with other people from around the world who are exploring Source Energy Medicine. And then the other 2 workshops that we offer are the energy healing, part 1 and part 2. Everyone starts with part 1, and then practitioners would go on to part 2, and there too. Everything, membership model, monthly, annual, and lifetime membership options. So I talk about that every once in a while because that is indeed where I spend I invest most of my energy, right? It's where the thing that excites me the most is really helping people to master, whether it's a charging label technology, or I get really, really excited when I get to enable people to be able to explore the energy healing. So there's while it is the exact same technology, so much greater flexibility with the energy healing than there is with the charging labels. And it makes sense because with charging labels, we can't manipulate time. With energy healing, we can actually exploit the illusion of linear time really, really very nicely and exploit in the best way possible, right? Take advantage of in a good way. Really use that, right? Use everything about that to our advantage. In that, when we're working on a challenge with charging labels, you're working in this moment, in this time-space reality. And yes, it is absolutely working in other ways, and yet with the non-material aspect of Source Energy Medicine, when we're working on a challenge, the first question that we ask is, where's the most ideal place in linear time between conception and this moment, that would be ideal to work on that challenge. And we go back in time, very often to when the client was in utero, right? So pre-birth, right? And sometimes we extend into or spill over into another lifetime, if you will. So part of the reason why I'm telling you that is because the group session that we're about to embark upon, while I can't do everything that I would do if I were working one-on-one with a client in this group setting, I can offer the things that are the most essential to your health and well-being, which I think is just such a gift. And I got to tell you, since COVID hit the newspapers, hit the internet and all of the news channels, I haven't heard of a single person within our source-energy-medicine communities who has experienced COVID, and they're probably out there, and I just, most people don't communicate with me, which, is odd, and yet I get it, right? And certainly of the people who participated in the Emergency Preparedness Masterclass, I would hope that anyone within that masterclass who experienced any kind of illness, because it came about, like the demand came from COVID, but it covers everything that would be characterized as an acute condition, like vomiting, diarrhea, some migraine headaches, nausea, sometimes ringing in the ear, vertigo, aches and pains, stuff like that. So, it's pretty sizable community within that master class, and I haven't heard from any of those folks. And, this isn't a pitch for that as much as it is, like if I were you, I would want to take that master class. I don't know how to say that without it sounding like a pitch, because it's very empowering, it's very freeing, and it's very, to me, comforting knowing that I can't control life, right? As much as I could try, life happens. And certainly the calibration of my being influences radically, right? To a large degree determines what I experience. And yet there's more to this creative experience than just the calibration of every aspect of my being, right? There are others that are in the drama with me, billions of others. And same is true for you. So just knowing that, I do everything that I can to help to ensure my health and well-being, and source energy medicine is a big part of that. Not all of it, but it's a big part of that. It's good to know that should any signs or symptoms of anything start to arise, because while I haven't had any kind of cold or flu or anything since 2005, I've almost gotten sick like dozens of times and was able to employ exactly what I shared in the Emergency Preparedness Masterclass, step by step. I didn't have the step by step. I was just, a lot of times, especially in 2005, figuring it out, sometimes in the middle of the night. And now you have the advantage of some really, really, really excellent handouts and a step-by-step guide. So, and we created a Source Energy Medicine mobile app that you can use on your mobile devices. That is, it's linked. It was created to take the Emergency Preparedness Masterclass to the next level. It stands alone without the masterclass, but with the masterclass, it is the ultimate emergency preparedness kit, I think. If you're looking at a safe, effective, holistic way of being able to stay well. So, thank you, Franco and Marina. They shared the emergency masterclass was amazing. That's awesome to hear. So, the energy healing session that we're about to embark upon, I'm going to focus on the things that are most essential to your health and well-being. On your end, you might just want to hold that intention, right? I mean, that's a big intention in and of itself. And yet there's an opportunity, because the work is phenomenally fast, and because you are healing yourself, and it's that divine part of you, right? It is that source energy part of you. To that, or from that perspective, there's no such thing as, too much for one session or too much for too difficult of a challenge, too big a problem. There's no such thing as that. Course in Miracles states it very, very clearly for us that there is no order of difficulty when it comes to miracles, and miracles should be our common everyday experience. And if not, then I'm blocking them in some way. And very often within source energy medicine, that's the work that we're doing. What's the resistance, right? What's the block? What's preventing my body from being self-healing, self-balancing, self-correcting? What's blocking, sufficient abundance from, showering nicely and gently and consistently in every aspect of my life and being? So if you would like to choose a goal or a challenge, I strongly encourage you to pick just one so that it's much easier to track. If you pick 2 or 5, it becomes more difficult, and I think it makes people question, is this working? Is it not working? What am I doing wrong? Pick one, and it's really, really, really easy to, I think, much, much easier to track. So I turn my camera off. There's chanting in the background. The chanting has nothing to do with the work itself. It's simply to so that you know that we're still broadcasting and we haven't been interrupted in the broadcast. And it'll probably be 5 minutes or 7 minutes. It's super, super, super fast. On your end, a minimum of distractions, which for most people means just get really, really comfortable. And if it is comfortable and you're in a place where it's safe and appropriate to close your eyes, then awful lot of folks like to do that. I certainly do. And if you're not comfortable, if it doesn't feel safe or appropriate, then please don't. And please use common sense throughout all of this. Since we're simply transforming slow energy to fast energy, darkness to light, if you will, there's no possibility of healing reaction or healing crisis. Some people who are sensitive do feel gentle sensations of energy pulsating or moving, sometimes heat types of sensations. Some people hear auditory things. Some people have visual experiences, and for others it's kind of a peaceful, quiet time. An awful lot of people feel uplifted, inspired, loved, unconditional love, agape kind of love. To me, is like that's the pool that we'll be swimming in, right? The pond that we'll be swimming in, and it is, the most amazing water on this planet. It's healing. Potential is hard to put into words, right? If you think about it, each of us who are experiencing this, if I stick with the silly pond metaphor, right? Each of us who dips a toe in this pond can only contribute positively to the experience and can't detract or take away or even pollute the water in any way, but it can only add to the experience. And yeah. So I invite you to go ahead and get nice and comfortable. I'm going to get the technology set up on my side, and then 5 or 7 minutes I'll come back. If you have anything you'd like to share in the chat about how this group session was for you, I'd love to see your feedback. And if you're watching this in replay, absolutely leave something in the comments below. Let me know. Thumbs up would be awesome. Emojis, anything, couple of words. It always just gives me some good feedback to go with. So I will get things set up here technically, and I invite you to take a nice deep breath. And as much as possible, and the miracles. And if your eyes are closed, please go ahead and slowly blink them open and come on back here and now in this time-space reality. And to our live stream here on YouTube, SEM Mondays Live. So, it's interesting to me in that, very short amount of linear time, and yet what we're able to accomplish in this short period of time. So a lot of people like to have another 5 or 10 minutes afterwards to just stay in a meditative-like space and continue to just honor the healing process, right? And give thanks for what is unfolding. And, especially, I think in general, just be gentle with yourself, right? Honor that what we went through there, even though it's completely free of any kind of drama or catharsis or no possibility of a healing reaction. Energetically, it's a lot, right? So just, take really good care of yourself. Stay hydrated, which with source energy medicine is like such an easy thing to do. But just eat really well. And, I hesitate to say that because I hope you eat really, really well, like every single meal. It's so much easier to just figure out your food and just eat really well rather than, do some kind of a yo-yo thing where you eat well for part of the day and then binge part of the day, or eat just junk part of the day, or do that, go through these crazy cleanse things. So, just love yourself, is the bottom line. Be gentle with yourself, love yourself, and love everyone around you. Life is way too short to just be anything but loving. And I certainly spent so much of my life in a very, very, very different place than that perspective. And I'm grateful for now. And it doesn't mean that I don't ever get annoyed at anyone driving or, the checkout line at, or local health food store or anything like that, because there's opportunity always. And what shows up is always a reminder of my edge, right? What's my edge of compassion? What's my edge of tolerance? What's my edge of kindness? So we absolutely need a whole lot more kindness and tolerance and compassion and understanding. So please be that in the world. And I think with that in the world, we will radically shift global human consciousness. Of course, that's the biggest part of what we're doing as a community within Source Energy Medicine. But being kind and gracious and generous, and think about it. Whether you agree philosophically or from a perspective of physics that we're all one. I mean, there are a lot of people who don't agree with that, and I get that, right? Whether you look at from religion or spirituality or science, there are a lot of people in each of those communities who don't believe that we're all one. And I think part of the problem is because it's the ego is so individualistic in its wiring, and its mandate is to seek and not find for myself, and find fault in others. So when that's possible, it makes it challenging as a human to be kind and compassionate and understanding, and to love each other, right? So I hope that makes sense. Again, next Monday, I won't be here live with you. Check out one of the replays. There are a lot of people in our community who are watching the replays from these group energy healing sessions once or twice a day, just as part of their spiritual practice, part of their healing practice, their healing commitment, right? And at minimum, it's a nice little quiet meditative time. So I just saw something that the chanting wasn't playing during the energy healing session, and I'm not sure why that was, but I apologize for that. A couple of things that I saw in the chat that I just want to highlight before I scram skedaddle here. Franco and Marina share that they were working with Source Energy Medicine and animals using Source Energy Medicine, and it's really exciting. Thank you for sharing that. I love working with animals and plants. I'm not saying more than humans, but they just have a lot less emotional baggage, I guess, is the easiest way, the most gentle way that I can. They don't. Their healing journey is much more linear, I think, is the easiest way I can say that. And they also share that they've been using source energy medicine to help their bamboo houseplants. It's doing great, amazing growing. It's doing amazing and growing beautifully. Thank you for sharing that. All of ours are absolutely amazing. And I shared quite a while back, we during COVID, when our food supply was interrupted, which is basically the Boulder Farmers Market, we started growing microgreens, organic seed, organic soil, and source energy medicine. And I got to tell you, I have no way of comparing them because no one else grows microgreens. If there was a local microgreen farm, I never would have started growing them. But I got to tell you, they are absolutely, absolutely amazing. So there's our friend Joanne. Hey, Joanne, so cool to see you here. It says just joined and started the healing blessing process. I'm grateful and always calm and centered. That's awesome, Joanne. Thank you for stopping in. It's always such a joy to see you. I miss you dearly, and I certainly hope you are well. Franco and Marina share walking in life's beautiful wonder. Thanks to Source Energy Medicine, blessings and love. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you, Joanne, for saying wise words, brother. And she is on board. I hope everybody is on board. It's kind of crazy to think about. Marianne Williamson talks about this all of the time. One of the problems is in higher consciousness communities, there's less conviction to loving each other than what terrorists have. Like terrorists are like so convicted, and that's why they have much greater impact, right? Smaller population, and yet much more devastating in terms of their impact. Very often in higher consciousness communities, we just, we just want to be happy and, be peaceful and not so much get out there and stir things up and get out there and rub elbows. And, we are still living in a pandemic, so use common sense with rubbing elbows and, respect other people's space and privacy and energy too, right? My number one rule, and I've been saying this since I practiced nutrition, was I don't inflict healing. My goal is to not inflict healing on anyone. That's the way I used to say it. I know I can't do that even if I wanted to, but it means don't inflict. Wait for the opening, right? Wait for the invitation, and then extend it, right? Then show up in the greatness that you were created to be, because that is indeed what the world needs now. So my friends, God willing, I'll see you back here live for the next installment of SEM Mondays Live in 2 weeks, folks in the United States. I really think it's Memorial Day is, sure, it's a holiday weekend, it's a 3-day weekend, and it's the unofficial start of summer, but it's a kind of a somber, sobering type of a holiday, at least for me. So pay some respect and take really, really, really good care of yourself, and I'll see you back here in 2 weeks. As always, I wish you continued blessings on your journey with Source Energy Medicine.